what is the philosophy, I guess, first in the first place?
Well, that all of us, I'm very much a believer in much given, much required. Like, guy gets saved off the street, and he has an obligation to what God has given him throughout his life, yes, but from the moment of salvation forward, especially. But that obligation is much different than a Christian young person who grows up in a Christian school. Um, if God has given you all of that training for all of those years, that's because he expects a lot more of you. And it has been my experience that Christian school young people who go out and don't serve the Lord don't do well at anything. And I don't believe that God will let them. I just think that you need to understand that if you were given that level, and that doesn't mean everyone's called to ministry, but we're all called to minister, and we're all supposed to be part of the plan, and your life has to be centered around serving. And you're in youth work, and you've seen it. But if a young person who's been given that level of investment decides to live secularly, God won't bless it, and he can't. And so I've just tried to convince young people that in a medieval period, and it transfers, I guess, to the modern day, but there was the Noblesse Oblige, the obligation of nobility. If you're of high birth and stature, you have an obligation for service. In fact, Harry and William still had to join the armed forces, right? And there's an obligation of service. And I really think that when you are given this level of investment as a Christian young person, you have an obligation of service. You have to serve. And it was I think Northwest and some other and Open Door, when we were there, it was a blessing because it's two-edged sword. You raise these kids up and then they go serve. Mark Upshindick's down at Trinity in Arlington, and Austin Marriott's and First Baptist in Toadsuck, Illinois, otherwise known as Dwight. Mick is down with Brother Angel and Johnny Rabideau's in Mississippi. And, the guys spread out to the four winds, but they're serving the Lord wherever they are, and they're reproducing themselves in young people. And it's just, for a long time, it seemed like our youth department was, and there's a fair number that stayed. I mean, Joel is the pastor at Northwest, or youth pastor at Northwest. He doesn't want to be the pastor. And the assistant pastor is Jake Rabideau now. He took Brother Anderson's spot, if anybody could do that. Really, the way you do that is start piling papers up in offices. So a lot of the guys, some of the guys stayed there, but a lot of them just gone, and the gals have gone to serve the Lord around the world. And it allows you to reproduce that ministry philosophy everywhere.